International. Well, carrying around extra weight affects men and women differently at work. A New York University study discovered that the more a woman weighed, the less money she made and the lower her prestige on the job. Her weight also adversely affected her spouse's income and occupational stature. Plus, if she was single, she was less likely to marry. However, bigger men did not experience similar negative effects because of their size. And coming up new at 5, a special skincare line developed just for cancer patients. Find out what makes it different. That's in Medicine Today, new at 5.
In the past, summer in West suburban Naperville has been coming face to face with some colorful creatures like giraffes. This year, visitors can take a load off while experiencing the town's annual Festival of Public Art. Our news partner, the Naperville Sun, tipped us off to this story, so CBS 2's Vince Girasoli sat down for a closer look.
This is a touching story.
All art is interactive to some degree.
A benchmark case for interactive art.
But when you're in a museum and the art's on the wall, you can't touch it, you don't get to use your senses, you don't get to feel it and experience it.
Peeking out from the town's parks and peppering its shady streets, Naperville's annual summer salute to public art is magically materializing. Fairies on benches, mushroom houses, butterflies on lampposts. This year, they're forming the whimsical canvas for several dozen artists.
They can touch this, they can sit on it. I guess it really came from my heart and soul that I'm a patriotic person and I really love this country.
I was having a hard time coming up with an idea, and my neighbor came out in a green prom dress and she's got golden red hair, so that's kind of where it came from.
After a season of developing a personal relationship with passersby, each will disappear, auctioned off to benefit the good works of Naperville's United Way.
Every summer that the Naperville United Way has been doing this event for the last 5 years, these art pieces really become part of the community for the summer.
The feeling we get from public art, something to ponder in Naperville these warm summer months.
You can interact with more than 60 pieces of public art in Naperville this summer. They are still putting the finishing touches on some of the exhibit, but all should be in place by Monday's holiday. Incidentally, the United Way auction is set for September 8th, and most of the pieces sell for about $2,500, but in the past, they have brought in as much as $9,000 a piece.
Wow.
That's great. So the public benefits for the summer, and then a good cause benefits at the end of the summer.
And it's a good place to sit down and have some ice cream.
That as well. Thanks, Vince. Well, as we've been saying, we've had a beautiful day so far today, but maybe a little rain interrupting the evening.
Mixed bag?
Well, it's not going to be awful. You know, it's going to water the lawn and that sort of thing and keep us honest. Let's take a look, first of all, at what's going on Sky Tracker. It has an ability to see things that we cannot see looking out our window. And if you look at Sky Tracker sweeping across the area right now, it is beginning to pick up a little bit more activity than you've seen earlier on this evening. You can see those little green dots out there. Now, they're widely scattered, but they are showers, and there's one right there that's beginning to move into the area. We've been tracking all of this all afternoon, actually looking beyond that and seeing all the activity out to the west. And it just looks a lot more formidable, and that looks like it can move into Chicago during the night tonight. Certainly at night you want to keep the umbrella handy, so do that in fact. And as we look at the situation in terms of our clouds, we do have clouds around there, but they have not given us any rain so far with most of the area. We've been seeing them move across the area and of course giving us a little bit of sun, a little bit of shade, and that sort of thing, and keeping the day pretty nice and beautiful with 67 degrees right now, the humidity 40% and the wind out of the west at 12. Again, it's been very pleasant for most of us this afternoon, and if you look at this picture, you can get another feel for this. Really warm air is well down to the south of us, but you can see this kind of a pool of cooler air throughout almost all of our region at this moment, and it's going to kind of be that way throughout the weekend. And all that's because of a spinning going on that's bringing us clouds as they're moving in right now. And you can see some of these clouds that are moving in over the area. You saw photography earlier to show you what those clouds look like right outside your window. And this is a satellite view, and this is a radar view of all of this, and it does have a lot of moisture attached to it. Some of that's going to dry up by the time the sun sets, but not all of it. So we have scattered clouds, middle 50s by tomorrow morning, and we see a chance of a little shower activity between now and then. And tomorrow afternoon, maybe a hit or miss thunder shower, but more likely just a little bit of hit or miss rain. I think it's one of those afternoons where you may or may not get a little shower. Don't be surprised if it happened. If you had a barbecue going, keep an umbrella around just in case. Mostly cloudy skies, a possibility of a shower this evening, down to about 52 degrees by midnight. The winds won't be a big factor. And tomorrow morning, mid-50s on the thermometer. Scattered clouds around. Should be a beautiful morning. West winds 5 to 10. Most of the day will be very nice. Tomorrow afternoon is just one of those afternoons where you could see a spotty shower or two. Temperatures are going to be in the middle 60s. You're probably going to complain saying that's a little cool for this weekend, but nevertheless, we do have an opportunity to see sun on all of the days coming up. The difference is on Saturday and on Sunday, we do have a chance also to get a little shower during the afternoon and evening. But look at Memorial Day, 68 degrees. You're going to see sunshine that day, no rain that day, and 70 degrees on Tuesday, and Wednesday we have more sun. So it looks like we're going to have a very nice 5-day period. I hope everybody has a great holiday.
And I don't think it'd be a Memorial holiday weekend in Chicago without a little rain at least.
You got to have it. Just got to have it.
Just for tradition's sake.
Right.
Thanks, Jim. There was an emotional outburst from the mother of an Australian woman sentenced in Indonesia today for drug smuggling. Chappelle Corby also cried as the verdict and her 20-year-old sentence were announced. Corby was arrested last October after airport authorities in Bali found 9 pounds of marijuana in her surfboard bag. Her lawyers say the drugs were planted. After today's verdict, Australian officials offered to send 2 senior lawyers to help with Corby's appeal.
When Australians travel overseas and they get into trouble, we do what we can to provide consular assistance for them. We are not able to interfere in the legal processes of other countries.
The Australian government also says it will negotiate with Jakarta on a prisoner transfer agreement.
In the CBS 2 Money Watch, stocks closed the week with some solid gains. The Dow finished trading slightly higher today, while the NASDAQ and S&P 500 also closed higher. Alexis Christophorus is live in New York now with our end-of-the-week Wall Street wrap-up. Alexis?
Derek, looks like the holiday weekend started a little bit early on Wall Street. As we just saw, stocks finished modestly higher, but trading volume was very, very light. It looks like we made more than we spent last month. The government says Americans' incomes grew 0.7% in April, while consumer spending was up just 0.6%. And a possible fiasco for Pfizer. That stock sank 2% today as the FDA investigates cases of blindness among users of the blockbuster impotence drug, though no direct link has been found. And jurors in the corporate fraud trial of fired Health South CEO Richard Scrushy plan to take a long weekend for Memorial Day. The jury is deadlocked on a key conspiracy charge against Scrushy, who's accused of orchestrating a scheme to inflate Health South's earnings. And very soon, no more free pretzels on Northwest Airlines. The cash-strapped carrier ended free meal service in February, and now Northwest is pulling the pretzels too, saving the airline about $2 million a year. For the latest business news, be sure to log on to CBS2Chicago.com. Live in New York, I'm Alexis Christophorus. Derek, have a wonderful weekend.
Oh, you too, Alexis. We're still mourning the pretzels, though. Soon they'll be charging us to breathe the air. Thanks, Alexis. Have a great weekend.
Still ahead at 4, weaving together a work of art, why this lush carpet requires more than a little TLC. It is a painstaking process with beautiful results. Parishioners in a village in Portugal are making a carpet of flowers in honor of the Feast of Corpus Christi. You see that carpet there, which this year falls on Sunday, May 29th. It takes several days to make the carpet, which includes myrtle, roses, and other types of flowers. Wow, look at that. When it's all done, it stretches for about 2 miles, and as you can see, it's an amazing sight on the village streets.
How beautiful. That's one carpet you really don't want to walk on.
It's too bad it doesn't last forever. I mean, my goodness, all that work.
Stunning. And still ahead at 4, why you won't have to reach into your pocket to pay a toll on a popular Chicago road.
A big international surrender of a man accused of taking part in a gang rape in the suburbs. Plus,
I'm political editor Mike Flannery at the state capitol. Republican leaders are making a last-minute attempt to block the Democratic majority from passing a controversial state budget.
You're getting ready to enjoy the warm weather and you want to roll up your sleeves. I'm CBS 2's Rafael Romo, and I'll tell you why health authorities say it may not be a good idea this summer.
I'm CBS 2's Vince Girasoli, and we are on Taylor Street, where else, for some great Italian food. But you gotta stay tuned to find out exactly where in Italy it comes from. Table for Two's coming up.
CBS 2 News at 4 continues.
out of the country and on the run for months, now out of hiding and in handcuffs. A man accused of taking part in a videotaped rape is behind bars. Good afternoon. I'm Kristen Hartman in for Marianne Childers.
And I'm Derek Blakely. For months, Adrian Misbrenner was in Serbia until he decided to surrender. He's accused of taking part in the gang rape of a teenage girl in suburban Burr Ridge nearly 3 years ago. CBS 2's Chelsea Irving is live in Palos Hills, where the suspect's attorney is talking to reporters. Chelsea?
Derek, Adrian Misbrenner is being held right now and interviewed at the Cook County Sheriff's Department headquarters in Maywood. But as you mentioned, his parents are here. They did not speak publicly today, but Adrian Misbrenner's attorney says that the parents are very happy the 20-year-old is back in this country. We are told by the attorney that he contacted his lawyer several months ago saying that he wanted to surrender, but it has taken some time to actually work out the arrangements of the deal. The attorney says part of that deal was that Misbrenner not face any additional federal charges. That being worked out, Misbrenner returned to this country this morning.
Once you realize that you're at flight from the original charges that you think you're going to be innocent, you're looking over your shoulder for the rest of your life, and it's not a sentence that anyone should do, especially when you believe you're innocent throughout these proceedings.
20-year-old Adrian Misbrenner returned to Cook County flanked by sheriff's police after a transatlantic flight on which he was escorted by 2 FBI agents. Investigators say Misbrenner jumped his $10,000 bail 8 months ago after being charged in the alleged videotaped gang rape of a 16-year-old girl at a party at Misbrenner's Burr Ridge home back in December of 2002.
The belief is he initially, back 8 months ago, left our jurisdiction, entered Mexico, at some point made a crossing over in Eastern Europe.
Investigators say Misbrenner's attorney contacted them Monday, saying he was in Serbia and wanted to turn himself in. FBI agents flew to Belgrade, where Misbrenner surrendered at the consulate on Tuesday. Still wanted in the sexual assault case is 19-year-old Barum Bazari of Lyons. Investigators say they believe the pair may have fled to Europe because one or both have family there.
We have beliefs Mr. Bazari may be in the same region. Well, it's unclear still under investigation.
In the time since Misbrenner and Bazari's disappearance, 20-year-old Christopher Robbins of Brookfield was found not guilty of aggravated criminal sexual assault, and 20-year-old Sonny Smith, also of Brookfield, pleaded guilty to videotaping the incident. He was sentenced to 4 months at a boot camp. Adrian Misbrenner is scheduled to appear in bond court tomorrow morning. If convicted on the various charges in relation to the alleged aggravated criminal sexual assault, he is facing a maximum of 30 years in prison. And now, Derek, an additional possible 15 years on the violation of bond. Those are the Cook County charges. Again, any additional federal charges have been dropped as a result of his surrender.
Thanks very much, Chelsea. CBS 2's Chelsea Irving reporting live from southwest suburban Palos Hills. Well, driving the Chicago Skyway will soon get a little easier. Starting June 17th, you can now pay as you go with iPass. For a while now, motorists have asked tollway officials to expand iPass use to the nearly 8-mile-long Skyway, which runs from Chicago to Indiana. Officials hope the iPass will ease congestion at the Skyway toll plaza. Tolls went up to $2.50 earlier this year.
Republican backlash in Springfield today after Democrats came up with a budget that allows lawmakers to get out on time and bail out the CTA. But as CBS 2 political editor Mike Flannery reports, GOP party members are comparing it to the Enron scandal.
Democratic House Speaker Mike Madigan was working the floor of the House trying to line up enough votes to pass this controversial budget proposal. Republican critics were unloading on it, blasting the fact that it relies very heavily on borrowing from state worker pension funds.
We're right back to where the Democrats can't seem to control their spending. They're even willing to charge our children for it. He should be ashamed of himself. It's worse than raising taxes to spend someone else's money.
So I feel real good about the way this whole session is shaking out, but we're not done. I'm cautiously optimistic that the framework we have can pass, and now the next play is to get the votes to pass it.
Trying to block passage, according to Republican sources, are party leaders in both chambers attempting to persuade at least a few Democrats to vote no. The Democrats' budget deal calls for $1 billion in new spending, including $300 million in new school aid. though that's only about half of the amount school officials in Chicago and elsewhere said they wanted. $55 million in CTA bailout funds, enough to avert the doomsday service cuts and layoffs that had been threatened. CTA President Frank Kruse and Board Chair Carol Brown made personal visits here to thank legislative leaders.
I'm very encouraged and very hopeful, and want to thank the members of the General Assembly for taking up our issue.
And you can't turn a mess around overnight. We've been steadily turning the ship of state around, but while we've done it, more people have gotten health care in Illinois than in any other state in the country. Why we've done it? We've put way more money in our schools than the two previous administrations have been able to do, probably combined.
While legislators may get home for a portion of this holiday weekend as they race to finish their business by the Tuesday midnight adjournment deadline, they're also going to be very, very busy. At the state capitol in Springfield, Mike Flannery, CBS 2 News.
The Illinois House will go back in session in about a half hour. Action on the Democrats' budget deal, I should say, could come as early as this evening. A test vote will show whether the proposal can pass without any Republican support.
The holiday weekend weather forecast is partly cloudy, but also partly sunny. That's because Chicago beaches are back open once again. Most of them will stay open until 9:30 p.m. every day, but South Shore Beach will close nightly at 8 p.m. If you feel the need for speed, this may not be your weekend as holiday travelers are hitting the roads. Let's get an update now from CBS 2's Chris Habermill. He's live as always in Chopper 2.
Well, with the I-Pass phenomenon well underway here, Derek, it's a strange sight to see that the I-Pass lanes look like this and the regular toll lanes kind of look like this. This is 163rd Street Toll Plaza, southbound on the Tri-State. We're checking out your interstates because I know that it's going to be the #1 way to get out of town, to get over towards Indiana. And with all the road work going on down here, this is what you need to know. A lot of people have been scared off of this end of the roadway because of all the road work that's going on leading to northwest Indiana on the south end of the Tri-State. But it is backed up from 163rd Street from the plaza you saw there over to the Bishop Fort. Now, this time last year, it was all the way backed up to Alsip. Don't have to worry about that, but what we do have to consider is that with everybody off the tollways, where'd they go? The core expressways and onto the Skyway. The Ryan, the Kennedy, the Eisenhower, and even the Edens are a lot worse than normal. Derek and Kristen, back to you.
Chris Habermill in Chopper 2, thanks so much. An Arlington Heights School Board has now accepted the resignations of 5 middle school teachers, but it is a decision that's not sitting well with parents and students. Students were back out this morning fighting to get their teachers back in the classroom, just as they were last night at this meeting to discuss the suspensions and resignations. The teachers were suspended from South Middle School in Arlington Heights after they drank at a local bar while chaperoning 7th graders during an annual field trip. Prepare to fight the bite. Virus-carrying critters are coming. Next up, staying safe from West Nile.
A new concern for anyone taking generic drugs, the story that'll have you cleaning out your medicine cabinet.
They're the worst of the worst behind the wheel. Are you sharing the road with the nation's dumbest drivers?
The travel tip that'll have you sipping champagne and sitting in first class on a budget.
And I can tell you, this is a beautiful picture of what's happening right now, but I also have to tell you that that will change, and I'll tell you about those changes for not only tonight, but for the weekend, coming up in just a moment.
The battle against the bite has begun with the first cases of West Nile popping up in DuPage County. CBS 2's Rafael Romo shows us one of the weapons that can trap virus-carrying mosquitoes, and he has some reminders on how you can stay safe this summer.
In the middle of a forest in DuPage County, a disease specialist is checking a mosquito trap. Authorities have set up 68 mosquito traps like this one in the last few weeks.
When they come to hover over the water to lay their eggs, there's a little fan in the tube that sucks the mosquito up into the net.
Trapped mosquitoes are tested for West Nile virus, a disease that killed 66 people in Illinois only 3 years ago.
We really can't predict the situation, except that if we have a hot summer, we're more likely to have a problem with West Nile virus.
Since 2002, efforts to control the virus have been very effective, but health officials say a large segment of the population is still vulnerable.
It's very serious for the elderly, especially over 55, seem to affect more, and young children and anyone with compromised immune system.
Normally, the virus gets transmitted to people by mosquitoes that feed on infected birds. If you're bitten, it may take up as long as 2 weeks for you to feel any symptoms.
Experts recommend wearing repellent, among other precautions.
Especially with the holiday weekend, long sleeves and long pants if possible, especially during the time when the mosquitoes are most active, which would be dusk and dawn.
So far this year, mosquito samples that have tested positive for West Nile virus have been found in DuPage and Woodford counties. Rafael Romo, CBS 2 News.
Mosquitoes don't travel very far. You can really reduce the population by keeping your gutters clean and turning over any containers that would hold water, like the bottoms of planters. The key is eliminating stagnant water.
You might think the worst drivers on the road are right there next to you, driving right beside you. But a new study shows the dumbest drivers are on the East Coast. A GMAC insurance company survey found that drivers in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states did the worst on a written test. Drivers from the Northwest did the best. And just like our geography, we're right in the middle. But nobody can really take comfort in the numbers. The study shows overall 1 in 10 drivers would flunk a state driving test.
Not surprising at all, I don't think.
Nah, pretty sobering overall.
Yeah. Still ahead, millions do it, but is it safe?
The truth about reusing those empty water bottles.
Hurting for a buck, an airline cutback that affects your stomach.
We're grabbing a table for two at a place that serves up fried ravioli.
And who's been calling Jennifer Aniston, urging her to get back with Brad? If you use generic drugs, you might want to check your medicine cabinet and call your pharmacist. Able Laboratories, which makes some 40 types of generic drugs, is recalling all of its products. The reason? Problems with its lab testing practices. It makes everything from pain to blood pressure pills, and they're sold in places like CBS and Walgreens. For a complete list of the recalled drugs, log on to CBS2Chicago.com and click on Consumer.
Many of us buy bottled water when we're on the go, and refilling the bottles may save you a buck or two at a time. But researchers say that practice is risky. The researchers say you should wash empty bottles with hot soapy water before reusing them to avoid bacteria buildup. But on the other hand, repeatedly washing bottles made with flexible plastic can release potentially harmful chemicals.
Smart consumers know the tricks of the trade to get a first-class seat with great service, more legroom, and free drinks. Most first-class flyers have elite status, which usually takes at least 25,000 miles of flying each year. So if you want to go first class, you need to pick an airline and stick with it. You can also cash in your miles for an upgrade if you buy a full-fare coach ticket. And in some cases, you can even purchase the upgrade with cash instead of miles. Little things mean a lot to the bean counters at Northwest Airlines. The airline is getting rid of those small bags of pretzels that cost 13 cents. Instead, a 3-ounce bag of trail mix will be available on flights for $1.
Can't believe it. It's the neighborhood Italian restaurant you've seen in the movies, but it's right here on Taylor Street. This week, CBS 2's Vince Girasoli shares a table for two at a family-run place where home-style dishes make this the perfect spot for your big night.
Not to be missed here is a robust sausage cacciatore. It's spicy sole married with a sweet tomato vinaigrette and complemented by mushrooms, potatoes, onions, and olives.
The thing that's nice about it is every time you come here, you have the same consistent good food.
From memorable and creamy pan-sautéed ravioli to a delightfully crisp and refreshing broccoli salad.
You're a broccoli fan, aren't you?
I am.
We're enjoying a big night at a little Italian restaurant on Taylor Street called Rosal's.
We can do assaggini, a little taste of everything, really.
It's all thanks to guest critic Akia Stewart, who attended middle school in Milan.
Because I lived in Italy, I've always been looking for something like that felt very genuine, and that Rosal's feels genuine. Like, the culture is amazing, the people are amazing, and it just kind of spills over into the food.
Rosal's features casalinga, or home